Hello there, and welcome to Get Good. My name is Bruce, and as always, I am joined by Manus and Dave. Gentlemen, well, it's both good morning and good evening, because of the fun of time zones. So I guess we're going to be talking about like the big minis. That's a stupid way of saying it. The most important minis, the things that have kind of
stood out to us.
They've set the tone for the year. They are important pieces in their own right. And I guess it's been a bit of a journey, this, because we talked a little bit amongst ourselves, and then we threw it to the community, and then we talked back amongst ourselves. And I think we kind of erred towards talking about a few pieces, but in detail, as opposed to here are 30 pieces that have really kind of like made our jaw drop throughout the year. So I guess, gents, is there anything like from your perspective that you think you were looking forward to thinking, okay, well, this is an important piece for this year? I'll start with you, Dave.
Well, interesting. I don't think there's anything specific that I look for. I wouldn't say that I'm looking for this or that. I think when everyone sees the pieces we've chosen, they'll think, oh yeah, well, obviously these are the ones that they've chosen, because there's something about the best stuff that has that it factor that we can't define. We can't put our finger on, but we're going to try to today. But yeah, it's just basically something that it really stands out for doing everything that it should be, and it does it well. And yeah, pretty much that's all I have to say on that. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're good pieces. That is all you need to know.
Yeah, the inevitable ones, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's also like pieces, that have been talked about and really like rock people's worlds, where it's really hard to not see them and go, mind is just blown by everything. And some of the pieces are either kit bashed and heavily sculpted, or even completely sculpted. Some of them are just painted, of course, but it's pieces where it's almost like everything is flawless. Of course, I don't believe in a flawless anything, but it's pretty close at least, and you can't really point to too much of a weakness. And I think that is pretty unique. So even though during the year you see incredible pieces in like tons of different well, either online or competitions, or lucky enough to see them in hand, it's just when you see these pieces where it's hard to point to anything, it's quite special. Everything, like when you zoom in, I think we talked about it a little bit. When you zoom in on something and you take this like square centimeter and you just look, and it's just packed full of amazing things, and almost no matter where you move that window, it's going to be, ooh, look at that, look at that.
Yeah, I think
Then
every single piece has a kind of how, like just how question mark. It just kind of spurs that, and there's kind of this mix of both an appreciation of the artistic talent on show, crossed with a deep appreciation of the technical skill required to execute at that level, which just makes it such a joy. Anyway, let us dive in, because we have enough to get through. What I will say is, if you're hearing our voices, and that's how you like to engage with this, and you listen on one of the myriad podcast feeds, you may not want to do that for this one, because we're going to be talking and showing these miniatures at the same time. Maybe you just like pretending that we're your mates talking in the same room, looking at the miniatures, and of course we are your mates, and that if so, that's fine. Maybe you don't need to see them. But if you want to pause now and head to YouTube, where you can see us kind of go through these on a shared board we've put together, do that now. And with that, we shall jump into the first piece, which is the lovely Magister by Albert Moreto font.
So I just want to check, are we going to let them know what 5 we're going to include now?
It's a good question.
Keep a surprise.
ooh,
It's a tricky
Should have
question.
discussed it before, huh?
We should have discussed it before. I don't necessarily think we're protecting him because it's not like a top 5 ranking, but I think we can just go into them one by one. There's 5 pieces. We won't say what they are until the piece number.
And if anyone wants to know, they can just skip through and have a look.
That's it. I will. I'll chapter mark them in the YouTube video. So if you just want to see the 5 pieces, just go to the description and it'll all be time segmented there. But yes, we start with is it the Magister of something by Albert? His Slayer sword winning piece. Right. Where do you want to start with this, boys?
Well, over here, I think.
Deal.
Right from the front on. Phew. Where do we start? Maybe you could ask a question, Bruce, and it might lead me into thinking. But actually, no, I got it. So my first thought is like, okay, so when you see something like this, the first thing that comes to mind as I just thought about it then is the read instant or gradual? Like, do you see it and see everything instantly, or do you pick up more as you go along, right? So this one is a bit of both. I think that's part of what makes it such a standout piece, because I think this one is going to have basically the best of everything. I've written down a bunch of different things that I hopefully want to be looking for, and we'll see. But I haven't actually done the analysis yet, so it's all going to be live, but I believe that we'll find that it's got a bit of everything.
Yeah, it really does. I think it definitely is the case of being one where you immediately see what Albert wanted, and then you just get to deep dive on every detail. And it has a lot of it, which almost to me makes it even more impressive, because it is incredibly hard to balance everything with so much detail, with it still being a lovely, harmonious piece. It actually has a lot of range in color, and you can clearly see the focal point.
Yeah,
the details are sharp and nice, but it's jam packed. This is such a mind blowing piece, and even in hand it does the exact same thing. I would say even a little bit better actually, because you get better view of depth because of the 3D.
I think there's a lot of work that Albert's done to really get the viewer to start exploring the model. And so if you could see it in hand, or if you can just be there and move your head around it if you can't hold it in your hand. But the guidance to the viewer, so you'll start to get lines coming down here, and that'll guide you down to this, and then you'll come up here and back and around, and so all of there's actually quite a lot of different guiding lines, and so that'll make you naturally want to turn the model and explore it from different angles. And so I've set up all of these photos, and every model I want to look into to see if there's any bad angles. There's something that I'm pretty obsessed with, and I'm sure the artists are not going to be happy with me trying to find the worst angle. But I actually think that Albert's achieved something remarkable here with the composition, the way he's painted. There isn't really a bad angle. If you want to zoom out, this one here, this is the worst angle, and maybe in between this photo and the next one is where the worst angle is. So this little volume here, but even when you get to here, there's other details that drag you to look and then proceed around this way. So yeah, back to the first image now though. So that was just a quick diversion.
But I agree with you. I agree. It's often that we see a model where, of course, the front of the model would be usually the main view, right? And then you would ideally have like a back view, and then maybe one from each side or something like that, because we're filling out a 3D canvas. But having no weak ones. Even when you do like quarter turns or like eighth turns, is just insane.
Yeah,
And
and the others do have a little bit weaker angles, which we'll cover, I guess, when we get to them. But
yeah, sure.
it's I believe it's something that is nearly impossible to do. It's not, obviously, but some volumes just are begging for you to interpret them a certain way, but that will only look good from a certain angle. So you have to compromise on how you end up interpreting that volume, depending on how it's going to look as you turn it or look at it from a different angle. And things like the globe on this little bit. Sorry, wrong image. This little bit here, and this bottle. As you turn it and move around from different angles, it doesn't lose its remarkable definition. So it specifically still looks like a crystal ball. And that is
Yes.
really, really, really hard to do, because a sphere like that, it needs to be just right from every angle in order to still read correctly. And so, yeah, I mean, it blows my mind.
Yeah,
the
especially
fact as
because
well,
oh, sorry. Go
I
on.
was going to say, with the glasses especially, the fact that it's not only done once, but it's done 7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there are 7 glass effects across the model, and
Yeah.
I probably actually there's probably more than that.
Yeah,
I
there's
was just
probably
looking from
more.
one angle, and they all work, and it's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Can I ask just an initial question, just because it's something I've been wondering when I've looked at this piece? What is the first thing you look at?
Face.
Yeah, the face.
It's the face for me. Yeah, there is to me the alchemy in this piece, and like obviously the incredibly clever use of value, but and how it's constructed. But there is so much going on. I always look to the face first, and I always find the face incredibly easy to find.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
It's also set in the area with the most saturation, right? So you're kind of pulling the viewer in that direction anyways. So yeah.
yeah, that's a very deliberate decision that he did.
Yes.
And that's part of like I think something that makes great miniatures like this, and each of these, there's got to be an element of risk taken by the artist in the planning and development stages. And part of their success is to make it look like there have been no risks, because in the end, this doesn't seem like it's all that risky. Like you look at it, it's like, well, it's obvious, it's inevitable. Like I said before, this is exactly what you would expect to see of a wizard in their Age of Sigmar working in his lab. But there is actually a heck of a lot of risk in cramming this much detail, this much stuff into such a small footprint and making it work. And that is truly something remarkable to consider. Like, I think if you can challenge yourself to think of it, it doesn't feel that risky, but it actually really is.
Yeah, I agree completely. Well, and also because I know that he had to repaint things and whatnot, but when you just see the model or the snapshot of it, you don't necessarily know that, because you're just seeing a finished project where everything works, and there's nothing where you're thinking, oh, okay, that's out of place. It's just, well, everything came together. Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this as well, and like I'm talking from like a level painter's point of view, unsurprisingly comparing oneself to Albert. But I think when it comes to risk taking, there's sometimes a habit where, well, if I'm going to take a risk, I'm not going to invest too much time into it because it's a risk and it may completely fall flat on its face. But obviously, Albert's style demands that everything is given the nth degree of refinement, and therefore all the risks have that much more weight to them within that case. So it's not just a case of the risks were taken, but the time was then invested in each one of those risks, and the fact that it pays off in the piece as a whole is kind of nuts.
Yeah, because as you're painting, you don't know if it's going to turn out like this. You get a sense of the idea, like, and sometimes you can start to really enjoy a model as you're going, because you realize, oh, I think this is going to be good. So you keep cracking, and there's a certain point that you can get past that risk barrier and think, okay, yeah, this is going to be great, but then you have to get there first, and there's at least probably 6 months of work on this project before we got to that point.
Yeah. I think the thing that one of the things at least I'm the most impressed with on this one is the choices of like rendering. Not only like everything is like neat and in the Albert kind of way when you look at it, like blended neatly, and gradients are kind of the way that he does them. Volumes are rendered kind of the way that he does them. But not only that, it's also the choices of a lot of detail where he needs a lot of detail, less detail when it's not needed. Some of the spheres are like kind of simple where you could have made them, I mean, more detailed or more, impressive. Like the crystal sphere is crazy. But then you have the ones in the background where they're, not as important in terms of the focal point. Yeah, exactly. Like the uh I don't know, the baubles and whatnot in the background.
Telescope renewal.
I think it's a telescope, but I don't know the spheres exactly what they are. Maybe they represent planets or something. But whatever they are, they're just much more simple compared to the glass vial, compared to the crystal ball, stuff like that. Even the non-met is, the staff
Simple, yeah.
yeah, it's subtle. You can, what it is, but it's not like he's not playing on the on every axis you could if you were only looking through the glass of I need to render metallics, because then you could make it much more shiny and much more convincing, or quote unquote convincing. But
Yeah.
by doing that, it might take focus from the face, for example, right? So the choices made on every object in the scene for it all to come together in the way that it did here is, yeah,
It has to be very
mind-blowing.
deliberate, yeah. So that we touched on this last time when we discussed it a little bit quickly, but one of those things, it's like, what has he not done that he could do? So there's a lot of, like, having the restraint to hold himself back from, highlighting this white cloth up to white. It's not white, because over here it's colder in this area of the scene slightly. So you've got more warmth in this area of the table, and this area is a bit colder. And so he could have really, been tempted to highlight this up to bright white, and it would have looked really cool, would have made this little part here look better by itself if you took this out of the scene. But when you put it all together and paint everything to that specific point and then not take it further, it all has to gel together and work. And that right there is the sign of his true mastery, because being able to see what things need and what they don't need. Yeah, a lot of us, we have a lot of trouble, like, not doing things if we know that we can. Like, a secondary highlight could be put in here, but it will make the hat look less black. But then in this volumes of gold here and this, which are closest to the Magister, there is more detail in the metals here. Like, look at this chain. See, it's got the little reflections in it to make it look more shiny. Whereas up here, there's less of those secondary reflections to make it look less shiny. And the whole piece has that kind of balance in it. It's remarkable stuff.
Yeah, there are shades in the gold on the hat that aren't in the staff just because it's closer to the face, and therefore it can be rendered with a far greater degree of clarity. It's almost like how our eyes work. Like, if you stare at something, that's your area of maximum resolution. As you get out, that resolution diminishes. It's reflected here, which is just like,
yeah. And to think of that in Albert's work is that he's using less resolution. Like, it's kind of amazing to consider that that's the case. Like, just another example, see this book, it has the texture on the cover, but this book here doesn't have as much texture in the cover sections that are poking out. That's I believe, a very deliberate choice. These as well, much more simply rendered. So because it's in a focal zone, it gets that extra layer of importance.
Yeah, that would be tricky for me, man. If I render something, I would be like, oh, okay, well, and I put the same things everywhere. I almost can't understand it. I think it's so incredible, especially because it's a fine balance, right? Because he still wants it to look incredible when you then look at the stack of books or the cabinet with the heads, whatever. So if you look at that element by itself, it still needs to look incredible, but it needs to be rendered a slight bit less than, well, when you're closer to the magician.
Yep. Yeah, so something else. So I think we're kind of going down the path of like the painting and technical side, but I'd still like to put a pin in coming back to sort of like composition, silhouette, and the pose and the narrative and storytelling parts. But we're going down the painting side first, so that's fine. So we'll just come back to that stuff. Something I like to think about with this is the Magister and the colors that have been chosen, right? So you've got very warm tones, but then this yellow on his cloak is highlighted with cold colors to fit in with the green tones of his cloak, but it's actually kind of a warm cloak. Now, that is an outrageous decision to make, but it works so well. It's actually not reality because everything here is warm, but the yellow, but that toning down the color of the yellow just a bit and making it cold, it sets up the contrast for the transition to the rest of the scene, because that's the element that's connecting him most to the scene. And yellow, when it's painted bright and like punchy, it could have been so tempting. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did paint it bright yellow first, and felt like it was taking too much. Like this section right here, if that was bright yellow, it would kill the focus from here, and it would end up being the main focus point of the entire piece. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did paint it bright yellow to start with and then cooled it down. Isn't that remarkable, right?
It's kind of insane to have those green tones in the yellow and still have it look like a distinctly yellow thing.
Yeah.
To fit in, damn, it's insane, and it's still the face, and I think it's so impressive to me that you have that, because I would say that knee is probably the area, well, that and the crystal wall, where you have almost the most open space with nothing really going on.
Yeah. All the
like less everything else is like super packed with detail. Maybe you could argue some, the dark spots on the table or whatever, but it's so easy for those to like grab the entirety of the attention, and it's still distinctly the face for me that gets my first view.
Yeah, because it's the most warm thing in the scene. So it's it's still quite a warm scene, but there's more reds and oranges in the skin, the face, and that is the very powerful use of those tones. So the rest of the scene is quite cold, although within a warm base. I call this kind of cold warm.
Because all colours are lie. Just as it's just mad to use a degree of mastery just to make a colour that should be incredibly contrasting with the blue fit right in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have thought about this or not, but tell me, where is the light source? What is the light source? Where is it coming from?
Yeah, I have, because I actually tried to map it out on the spheres, and it kind of depends a little bit. So if all the spheres are kind of pointing in towards the guy,
Well, they are, yep.
yeah, they are. I think I
These ones
spotted
are.
a couple where, yeah, but most of them are actually going towards him. So it's almost like it has this inner. It's not painted as an inner glow, but like he's spotlighted.
Yeah,
Um,
magical radiance, or like
yeah,
the but I it's really difficult to figure it out, but that's part of the charm of it, because you can't just do things like, those the ideas of like 4-quarter rendering. Bruce, if you want to move back out to so that we can see a bit more of the groups, um, some more angles. This back section here, the whole back section is quite cold compared to the rest of the scene. But it still fits within the color, and it doesn't feel like it's getting a different light source. Maybe it is, but it doesn't feel like it's like been split away from it, especially as you turn them to model from the sides. These ones here. There is that transition from the warm front to the cold back, but it's so subtly different that you can't really see where it is. And trying to think as a painter about how to make those decisions, and where to like draw the line. Like
yeah,
this highlight here I want to talk about, right? We'll probably jump between this image and this one up here.
Okay.
But basically, he's chosen to highlight the volume here, and from the main view, that is absolutely the right choice. Now,
yes,
from this angle, we might want to actually draw these highlights down more here,
yes,
but then the contrast won't be as punchy from the front view. So making that choice is a very, very tricky one, but it's also still got enough volume rendering and interpretation in that section to work and not look too ugly. And it's about choosing that balance, especially for these turns. And then you've got other stuff when you get to this angle to take your attention and be interesting enough from this angle. And the entire piece has that little bit of everything that's the main focus from each angle. And so the entire model from a 360-degree view has got its main focus thing from every point. So if you turn it and look at all the images, you'll find something. Okay, that's the main thing from this angle. That's the main thing from this angle. It's remarkable.
yeah. It really is, and it's a testament to the fact that, um, you know, imagine having to put like a fixed light source on this piece, because it's such a round piece. Like every angle, everything has something. So painting it in a bit more of a dramatic lighting, well, it would be a huge shame, because you would lose some details, or you would at least not have as much rendering done. And the fact that you kind of have to balance those things with such a complicated scene, because I think it's what a lot of painters find difficult is, sure, you can look at it from the main front angle and almost do the 2D thing, but on a 3D thing.
Yep.
But what do you then do? Like a question I get asked a lot is like, what about the back? Well, what about the top view when you look, so you can both see a bit of the front and the back? What do I do there? What do I do when it's a quarter turn? So on and so forth. It's and this one is, yeah, one of the most, 360 models I've seen ever, I think, where,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
you almost have no slices where it's like, well, this is clearly not intended to be a viewing angle. all of it looks like a viewing angle.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, this is the worst one. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Imagine that.
yeah, I know, right? Like it's not even that.
No.
It was kind of cool as well, like, I guess on this, that on the Slayer Sword reveal, they did the 360 GIF.
Yeah.
So it
The
is
turntable,
every
yeah.
angle that you saw, yeah, which is just like, is joyous. I think the thing that I'll just go back to the main view for a second, but like, I'm looking at this on quite a large monitor.
Yep, me too.
Oh.
And it's the knowledge that all of this detail, which is densely packed on my large monitor, is probably a fifth of the scale that I'm looking at it in reality.
Yeah.
It is like to create something whereby in hand it is stunning, and then blown up, you actually get to appreciate it more because the stuff your eyes just physically couldn't take in.
Dude,
Yeah.
look at those eyes in like.
Right, yeah. I want to talk about the eyes. The eyes are bullshit. The fuck is this? I mean, I think there's a better angle. Hold on.
Close up,
With a front. Yeah.
Not quite.
Where you have the blue of the eyes, the iris, there's a catch light, and like this model is tiny.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be possible.
No.
How about these goddamn Winsor and Newtons?
Even with a perfect brush, it's still very, very difficult. Like, you've got to be able to just get it just right.
Well, that's one thing. You also only get so many tries, dude. It's like, honestly, on those eyes, when you're on the third try, it's like, they're too gunked up to ever be smooth enough.
Yeah, I need to IPA bath them and completely repaint them now.
Oh my goodness me. It's nuts.
And he's looking at the flask as well. I mean, I know it's like an obvious thing is obviously paint the dude's eyes where he's looking, but to do that with that detail and to get it bang on where he's looking at the glass is just like, fucking hell.
It's actually quite smart because I think that the face of this model, the way the eyes are, it would be harder to paint the eyes like this if he was looking forward. So it's actually a really smart move to paint them looking down like this, because you can use more of the size of the eyes for that. But that again, that's another choice that he's made.
Yeah, and even the positioning then of his body, like he's angled this way intentionally. It's not just, oh well, he just kind of needs to be plonked in the scene. It's like no. The angle of the foot, and obviously with the amount of conversion work that Albert does, and this is like
especially that, right? Like he created all of that. Like, no, sure, it's bits and bobs and what's not, but he created that scene, right?
Yep.
All of it. So nothing was like.
I think this is a reasonable time to start moving on to the composition slide. And this is where the big risks were taken, I think. Because like I try and think of like this silhouette. And if you just take out all the colors and just make this black and white, and we could have done that, and I didn't think to do it, but
no, I didn't either.
The silhouette is quite defined. I think you'll get your you'll see that it's a wizard. He's got his staff, his hat will sit up out in the area, and the shelves, and so part of that silhouette and the positioning of the elements. So he's up on this stair, and that stair doesn't have to be there, and it actually kind of doesn't make sense to have a table butted up against the stair like this. But it extends the scene upwards and gives there more space for the wizard to breathe. Now, you can't see if that's going to work when you're building it at the start. So he has to decide about this and figure out that, yep, because to go back and add that step in later would be hugely fundamentally different in the scene, and it might not end up working. and to actually have to change that later, to have the foresight to do something so out of like reality, but making the concept work is very remarkable to me. And so then you've got this waiting. So he's here, and there is some waiting pulling him off to the right of the scene, but then the movement of everything and the way it feels drives your eye over here next, and then down to here, and that sort of all needs to be planned in the composition stage. It's very, very difficult to think about those things from an early stage. I think it must have a lot to do with experience, and there's also an element of luck, because when you take the risk, you're not sure. You can't know how it's going to look. You can imagine it, you can picture it in your head, unless you've got that aphantasia thing.
Yeah, maybe he does. He says he paints the model in his head, so
yeah.
Well, it's the opposite of aphantasia. Aphantasia is you can't visualize.
Yeah.
He's probably like hyperphantasic or whatever it is.
Hyperphantasia,
yeah.
Yeah, but, I wish I knew more about the like, because we know that he picks the bits. He kind of has an idea, and now he's scouring through his own stash and I guess online and whatnot, to look for bits that could be used. But I wish I knew like the iterations. I wonder how many things were thought of but discarded, and how many things were pulled out but discarded. I wonder, like, if it was in the hundreds of position, because it matters how the wizard is positioned too. Like a 5-degree turn, and it's not the same, right? You also only have this much room. So, for example, you can see the table is kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit. So he kind of decides to have this rim on the pieces, and or maybe it goes straight to the border. But I really wish I knew how the iterations were, because it's so nuts to me to imagine that these things, like, how do this come together? Is it a matter of like, okay, I know the wizard is going to be somewhat like this, like I having bits and bobs and whatnot, and tagging together and looking, and then okay, I have a quite a set idea for the wizard. But it's like, if you do that to completion, now you have to force everything else into it, right? Because you already set your mind on something, and you're not about to clip that. Well, I guess you might have to clip it, you know, uh, and change it. So I really wish I knew, because that's one of the things that really blows my mind, is how this comes together.
Yeah, and something in that stance that I've been trying to think about lately is I think for the top tier stuff like this, especially with base and composition and stuff, I think the base needs to be interesting enough without the model in it to stand on its own if you take the model away. And I think that is the case. And then if you put the model in by himself without the base, it would still be super, super awesome. And so the combination of those two things is what really elevates it to the next stage. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm saying with that, but I think you need to be able to have both of them exist and be awesome. And then when you put them together, that's part of what gives it that it factor, because it's the best of everything.
Even then, that requires an alchemy, because there's always a chance that you have a base that it is incredible and a model that's incredible, and then you put them together and it doesn't work, and it's just too much. And so the alchemy in actually managing to get two things that perfectly work separate and then perfectly coexist is nuts to me. And like,
but look how good it looks with no paint on.
I know, it's sickening.
It looks so good with no paint on. It's nuts to me.
Yeah. And like
It looks
just
better with no paint than with a shitty, half-assed heavy metal paint job or whatever. Like, it looks so good even without.
And that's
It's
probably
nuts.
the point where he realized he's got something really good. And
yeah, I just got to
and
paint
that
it
really
now. Really good.
motivates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's stunning as well looking at this, just how much of it is kit. Because you kind of think, surely near all of this is custom sculpted. It's like, no, near all of it is stock kit, just put together in like an infinitely complex way that the original pieces weren't necessarily intended for. I mean, like the Araman Ocean Holder is Inkwell is the classic example. Sorry, but fuck, you wanted spikes on the hat. You just sculpt some little curves in.
Just so it fits. I don't even know where.
I think that's because of the way the kit is cast. It would have been stretched out a little bit along the edge of because of the two. You've only got the 2-angle. So I think he would have just been fixing that, and even just to do that.
Yeah.
Which
is another mind-blowing thing, right?
Yeah, because he would have done that on everywhere across the model. Like, the eyeball of the this here has been rounded out to give something a bit more space to work with. And then this dragon thing is also remarkable as well, like to get a metal piece to look so smooth.
Yeah, just get a metal piece look smooth. Done. I mean, sculpted quill is just nuts. Can I ask a leading question? Well, not a leading question. It's not as a question I actually don't know the answer to, but is this level of finesse and planning and foresight only possible if you're someone like Albert who is content doing a single piece a year?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
I do. I think you need so much dedication to, well, I guess you could have a lot of projects running at the same time and at some point, but I think it takes so much time and energy and effort to get it so right that I would find it hard to see anyone having the time to do. They would have to be some kind of savant, I think, if they were to plan and or have the experience of.
You're probably right, actually.
I just don't see how you had the time and energy and the willpower and the knowledge and experience to do, multiple of these. Like, imagine doing it every other month. Dang, I couldn't. It would have to be. So the thing for me is that this one is so unique, right? So even coming up with the idea and then coming with the next one being quite unique and the next one being quite unique, it's not it's not easy in any way. And it takes. I would I would I would imagine that you're thinking about the project nonstop, right? When you're doing it for months.
Yeah, I imagine he's
Or incredibly lucky.
But
yeah,
I don't know if you can say that Albert's lucky. He's done it multiple times in a row.
But if someone was to, create, let's say, 4 of these in a year, I couldn't see it. I couldn't.
And that's like I think if it was like, okay, construct this scene and paint it to that standard, yeah, maybe you could do more than one a year, but it's envisioning this scene. This is almost 90% of the work just to and like part of. I mean, I think we've probably all seen Albert's little desk calendar thing where it's like, hey, here's like 2 months of building, and you're imagining like, because he's always churning through those ideas, and it's. I can't imagine many others capable of touching this level unless they are content to say, I'm not going to get much done this year apart from this piece, and I'm going to be happy with it, which is in itself a risk.
Especially because, did he say it was from 13 or 17 different kits? Like, having just having the idea and the time and or willingness to spend the time to get through all of that and look for, oh, I need a thing here and I need a bit here and I would like a, like, ooh, this thing looks cool. That's something I could use for an idea I had, and now it's kind of like in the mental bank. I mean, I wonder how much this is actually an ongoing thing, that like the project could have been, in its infancy, thought about 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? And then you kind of have, I guess, maybe a culmination of kids, or, um, at the end you want to do the thing, because the thing for me here is it's not 3D sculpted, so it's not Albert sitting down and saying, I want to create, um, like a magician or like a wizard in his tower. I'll start from the ground up, or from the roughness and working in, or from the whatever. This is even scouring through and finding all the bits and knowing, oh, if I use this one and that one and I sculpt a bit in between, that's what I find so remarkable about this.
Yeah, the conversion work.
17 kits is
17. Yeah. See?
Just to have the foresight to see certain things. And that's probably what happens, like, over the years. You watch all the kits and, look at what bits are in now. I do that myself. I look at the kits, and then, how GW, I wish they would do it for every kit. They used to put the sprue images in there.
Yeah.
And you want to trawl through what's in them. And so that's part of why I look at all the bit sellers on eBay, just to see if there's any bits that come up. So yeah, I'll grab that bit. Oh, I'll grab that bit. Ends up thinking, okay, I'll just buy a whole kit then, because, the bits are marked up by a ridiculous amount. So I wonder if he does that as well.
How much do you think this piece cost?
Yeah.
Just the box price of all the kits. I mean, it is obviously priceless, but goodness. Right. I have to keep us on time, because otherwise we'll be doing a 5-hour record.
Yeah, but I feel like we've covered. I feel like we've covered things pretty well. We could have gone into a bit more color stuff, but I think
there's always going to be a new avenue to talk about and go down. What I think maybe a good way to cap off is like one bit that particularly stands out on the model to you, from each of us, because I think for me it is that those goddamn eyes. I think about them all the time. I've been painting Middle Earth recently, and I'm like, these eyes are so tricky, and I'm like, oh, but no, it turns out you can do more if you really want to devote the time. And it doesn't have to be like, when I say single bit, it could be, I like the composition, I like the color, like, but kind of like the standout thing.
Magnus?
Yeah, I think the thing that I like the most is, the just no compromising in terms of, I want to use this bit, but it's not quite good enough, so I'll make sure that the scrolls are, uh, thinner, because they weren't, and the pearls in his, in the hand, they were, sometimes the kids, they don't have like the undercuts and whatnot, so he fixed that, the hat that we talked about before, so on and so forth. So, like, the no compromising at all. I'm going to do a perfect scene with a perfect painting, well, quote unquote, of course. So the sculpt needs to be perfect too. Yeah, I think that's the thing for me, that it's so good even without paint on, because everything was just attended to.
How about you, Dave?
For me, it's still just a yellow robe. Just I think that the thinking that goes into that, just the yellow robe, it sort of epitomizes everything in the scene to me. Like, it's just a fairly simple thing, but then to go for cold specifically because it helps the composition and the overall presentation rather than going for some bang on just that robe itself. Everything it does is basically chosen not to go beyond and take things too far to like flex, I suppose, on peripheral elements and stuff. And so that idea of like finding the right place to stop with the paint, that I think that's what the yellow robe epitomizes for me.
Yeah, and it's a really good, indication of when you look at the actual colors. Like the yellow is slanted towards the green, right? So it's not a warm yellow. And then you have the greens, the teals, the blues, and the reds are not even red, right? They're more of a purple. So and you have the browns. Even the browns aren't like the control over it to not go too saturated yellow, no orange, no red. So you have this super harmonious color scheme. Is just nuts.
Yeah. And there's a reason why this is the one that everyone's so wowed about this year. Like it really is the epitome of what makes miniatures just so remarkable for all of us.
But I use transfers on the book, so it doesn't count. Cancel.
Oh, did he?
Unbelievable. Yeah, the book script is transfers. I think there was a point at GD when I was like in near tears, like, just please tell me how you did the script. He's like, it's a transfer. I'm like, okay, you are mortal then.
That's still good though. Like, it's
incredible.
It's transfers are part of our minute making.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's like, I think, so we're gonna look at some subsequent pieces now, and I think each of them are stunning in their own right. This for me is perhaps the best thing that embodies the hobby for me this year, because it involves everything. It is
I agree.
The building, the conversion, transfers, painting, just the attention to detail, the felting. Don't think the felting's in any of these pictures, but yeah. Right, that is, we can't be doing 5 hours. So we're going to move on to our next piece, which we alluded to in our previous podcast episode, which is Maxime's Ogre dude.
Ogre dude.
Ogre dude.
Ogre Mercenary.
Ogre Mercenary. Thank you, Dave. I swear I'm good at this. Fresh from Best of Painting at Monty, I have continued to look at this piece since our last discussion. I just every free chance I get, I just have a little look. I mean, where do you even start other than?
Well, what hits first for you? Like where's your focus drawn?
Face.
Always the face, and then my eye slips down to the hand, then loops through the groin up to the sword and round again.
Yeah, so here to here to here to here to here, round in a circle.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now,
I think so.
We probably should not just dive straight into this, but it catches me so completely when I look at this. So just move over a little bit so you've got these two images in screen for us. But from the main view, the golden angle, which is this one, the face is very, very bright. When you get this angle into view, this is the main focus. Now, I've done the same thing with this model in looking at around all the angles like with Albert. And this also doesn't really have any bad angles. And that is a big challenge, and we'll go into that a bit more detail later as we look at it closer. But I think thinking about that, miniatures is the only discipline in the world where we have to try and think about these sorts of things. Like there's no other art form that has you thinking about, the hierarchy of focus around the different angles of the model, and then being able to actually paint something like the sword to have this much white and not steal the focus from the face on the golden angle just because it's a little bit off angle. So you've picked the area to put the white in perfectly. Like a lot of people I think would probably paint this section of the sword bright white because that's the edge, and that's usually the thing that we go bright white with, right? But that would have clashed a big section of white there with the base. So I don't know whether he thought about that or if it's just instinct for him to put it over here instead. But yeah, that's something that stands out very much to me because, you know, a big section of white like that is usually going to want to take your attention, but it doesn't.
Mm.
No, not from the main angle, at least. No. Oh man, this piece is just nuts. Remember when we saw some spoilers and we were like, "Oh goodness me, this is going to be a banger." I think we saw
It was
the golden face, and we saw these. Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness, when that came in with the flask and the yikes! It's
Yeah,
just
so
so. And look at that elbow. Look at how it has a spot of light on it. Ugh. I can't. I just cannot get it into my brain.
yeah. I mean, I want to know how much this comes to your point, Dave. Like, how much of this is instinct and how much of this is planning?
well, so if you go back down to the bottom row again, so we were talking about Alberts, and this is another model that's in that sort of 360 degree. The whole everywhere around has its own focal point. So in this angle, you've got this here, you've got the gun over here, you've got this roby thing, and so every angle has its own focus thing, but you've got all those little things across the model that you've chosen to make the focus as you turn the model, and that you've got to consider and think about all of those things. Like these checks on the bottom of the.
Yes.
How do you think to do that?
I couldn't tell you, man. I couldn't. Like maybe
Yeah.
you're looking at it and they're just thinking, it needs something, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe. Yeah, and it probably did because it would have just been a big chunky leather thing, and this just cuts down the amount of volume of that, just a big leather amount in that area, and the texture in this is just wonderful. And it's on the back, and this back is quite like not as good as the front, but it's still very remarkable. So, what do you think the risks were from a conceptual and an implementation stage for this model? So I have my ideas, but I want to hear what you guys think.
ooh, I would guess having all of those, like, so the lighting is the thing for me on this one, right? You have the warm and the cold lights, and you have all the cast shadows. You have the intensity of them, and you have the colors within them. And when you begin with that, you have to do it right on everything.
From the
You
start.
can't, yes, you can't slip up. You can't just, I'll do it here where, the focal point is, but I don't want to do it all over because it turns out it's a lot of work or whatever. Like there's no compromising that. You have to do it if you do it. Cast shadow from the hand on the blade, cast shadow from the belt on the stomach, cast shadow from the pants on the legs. Even though the light on the stomach is much brighter than it is on the leg, for example, the way that I said before, the arm gripping the sword, it has the light from the main light angle, even the elbow catching a little bit of that, but it has the cold light on surrounding it. It that is the risk for me. Like having that consistent all over every time you turn it. I it blows my mind. You
Yeah,
have to
so
get it right.
do you want to say anything, Bruce, before I go?
No, I mean, the only thing that struck me when I first saw it, and it's probably not a risk for someone like Maxime, but I only mention it because it's something that I personally really struggle with, is the confidence on these metals, on the hilts of the blades, to keep them dull.
So dull, yeah.
And so they read as metal because you have these incredibly like thin points of beautiful highlight, but you see in the other metals how he's injected interest in. So for me, it's this confidence piece of I'm gonna render these dull, and you're still gonna think they're metal because I'm just gonna render them so well. Like that was the first thing I really noticed on this piece. And then you see all the other billion details, like when you realize that the leather isn't satin, it's just painted.
You can compare that to Albert's work again as well, because
Yes.
he's not gone too far. Like it's very tempting to go and make those sections really like stand out shiny. And like if you look at the image to the right, there is some satin to it so that it does reflect light on certain angles, and I believe that that's really intentional, and because like you've got those satin reflecting in those metal sections, but not here, and using finish like that on different materials is a huge part about making miniatures work in the round. So
I actually also wonder if you look at the most of the details that are in that kind of dull brass, not the face on the front, but the rest of it, they're quite like flat and boring. Like it's not, it's like not great volumes either and especially for the scale, where you would have to push them like super shiny to get enough like interest, which means if you do that, it takes so much of the focus.
Yeah.
So the intentionality of just saying, well, I'm just going to not render those as much. They will be like a much more dull metal. And if I choose to do that on the handle or like the pommel of the sword, I might as well do it on the belt buckle. So even some of the ones where you maybe could do more, well, I've committed to not doing it because it fits the theme better.
It works for the
So I can
entire composition better. Yeah.
yeah.
So my thoughts on the risk taken in this model is the intentionality of keeping it simple. So the base, Maxime is an incredible sculptor, and we've seen him do these great rocks and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
the base and the scene itself, the concept stage is where the risk was taken, because he's basically just painted a model, put it on some rocks, put a few tufts in there, and it's very simple, but then it's a big flex on I can paint this, and then it's all down to the painting. And so I guess it kind of it works and is correct to pick this as best of painting, but it is painted so well that it overrides any of those I suppose the choice to go simple in certain areas. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that when we saw Albert's piece, he had much more control over, like the sculpted part, or took more control over the sculpted part, while this one is not like repost or a big scene for it or whatever. He's like full focus on painting a model to the best of ability, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And so there is a potential risk in that, because if you don't execute things just perfectly, it's not going to reach the level of people who have done those conversions or bigger or wider storytelling basis. But this does have storytelling in, even though it's a much simpler thing. It's all the implementation of everything that tells the story. And so you have to be so confident in your ability to paint and achieve the desired result to make I suppose a conceptually simple choice at the beginning stage like that.
You also have to find a model that you trust enough that you get to show all of what you can. Well, maybe not all of what you can do, but so much of what you can do that it's just undeniably, amazing, right? And finding a model like that is not easy at all.
No, and So you have to feel, usually you have to feel really in love with a model to be doing stuff like that, I think. So,
do you think then that there's an element of this? And I apologize because a lot of the time I try and systematize things, which maybe I shouldn't do, but like systematizing painting. But like, there's an understanding of I have an attention budget, I have a focal budget, and it's like I just can't make this help as detailed as I could because it's going to be another point of focus, but then I'm doing it right next to this beautifully rendered hand, and I actually want the eyes on the hand there, and that's where I'm going to spend my budget here. Like, is that like an oversimplified way of viewing it, or?
I think it's
I think
exactly
it's a
that.
smart way of thinking it. I've never thought of it that way myself, but I think it's a smart way to think of it.
Right, I'm trademarking that, Manus. We're gonna make billions.
Focal budget, yeah, it's great.
The focal budget. Right, sorry, I cut you up, Dave. Where are we going?
So let's go to the side views on the right hand side. Up and down. We'll start on the left side here. Now, these are the two angles that I think are the worst angles in this model. And again, we've got the same situation as we had with Albert, where this model doesn't really have bad angles. So I think you could say that this section here is probably the ugliest part from this angle. And it's not really ugly. You can't really say that it is, and maybe this is a little bit too shiny from this angle. But to have,
if that's it,
to have cast shadows reflecting blue light across the whole model and still achieve this is just mind-blowing. Like, cast shadows usually will cause other angles to just fall away and become ugly and bad. And so to still keep the cast shadows, make them correct. Look at this little flash of light here.
Yeah.
You take that away. You take that away, and this angle doesn't work as well. It loses something, right? If you just make it this grey.
Yeah, because you can't see that it's full cast shadows.
Exactly.
Right? And he's not doing them.
Well.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying with the elbow too, where it's not because he's basically not making his cast shadows dark enough so they don't work when it's fully cast shadow.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is part of what is remarkable about this scene, because he's still got that massive amount of contrast in the main views and those other angles. And he's still got that twisting of reality where the light is bending around more than it actually probably should from where the light source is. Like, if we just move back to the main, just zoom out a bit, Bruce. The light source is, I think, like up here, probably way up here.
Yes, it looks like it. Yeah.
So the light is actually probably not meant to hit this elbow at all. But he's made the light end up help twisting around, and so the cast shadow is actually like stretched a little bit around the corner.
Yeah.
But you need to do that to make it work on those side angles, those potentially ugly angles. And it's the same thing if we go just down to the other side. It's got the same thing here. Like, you've got stretched light coming in around, like this section down here especially. I think that would, if you just had that, the ball of light and you look at the model from the position where you think the light is, I think that would be close to being in shadow. But if you allow the atmosphere to move that light and like just fade the light source, and it's obviously a sunlight source, it's going to allow the light to bend around those corners a little bit. But then picking where to put the cast shadows in particular, oh man, it's a masterpiece.
It really is.
There's these little toesies here on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't noticed that before.
No, it's nuts. It's absolutely
even
amazing.
Like, look at this. This is a back blue view. I don't know, like, how do you decide to do that?
It is, I mean,
the woodenness.
So much of this is invisible until you look at it, and it's I think it's
I think this
on.
is why we talked about it when because we hung out a bit for the Kid Good meetup, and we were spending a fair bit of it looking at this actual model. And I think when you just see the photos to begin with, it looks like a fairly, simple model. It's painted well. It looks good. What a nice one. And then the more you look at it, you're like, what the hell? Why do this becomes more and more real
Yeah,
while
that's
not actually being it? Because some of these liberties are definitely taken, but they're taking so confidently and so believable that it's absolutely insane. I like the artistic license is. It looks like there was taken none, and it's just taken all over this model.
And it
The
just feels
light on
right.
this is
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
That falls into that concept simplicity idea that I helped. Is exactly what you're talking about now is exactly my point with that. It's really mind blowing, right?
Yeah,
it's
it is. It is.
it's just
It
like, I
is.
mean, like this light bending thing,
Everything
applies
has
to this
to work.
bottle.
It has to. The illusion has to be presented in a way that it makes us not see any like broken illusions, and
Yeah.
there aren't any because the illusion works from what I can tell all the way around the model. I really hope I get a chance to see this one in person one day.
Another thing for me on this one is when I look at the painting, the pa- the the painting is so good, like the rendering itself, right?
Yep.
I can't understand. Was this sketched out? Did he sketch the entirety of the model and then he refined on top of that forever? Or how do you do this? Because if you don't do it that way, how do you keep in your head how everything is supposed to be? Where do you need a bit of light? Where do you need the blue to start and stop? Where do you need the sunlight to start and stop? Where do you need this kind of color and this kind of color? And there is just zero trace of sketching on this one. Usually you see a little bit of like something is a little bit more refined and less refined and so on when you have these pieces that are, you know, someone sketching and then refining and refining and refining. But god dang.
I think that's a confidence thing. Personally, I can see a huge amount of confidence in the brushwork because, like, I laughed a second ago when you said because of the painting, because I was just thinking that at the same time, like, this still looks painted, so it
It
doesn't
does.
look perfectly rendered. There's the blends aren't like absolutely perfect in every single location. Like Albert's has that feel of like, really just perfectly rendered. This is more painted and more painterly, but it's still completely high rendering standard, and it excels in ways that you don't imagine because of that. And so I believe that he is just so skilled and experienced now that he can just go bang, go in, paint a section, and it gets done. When we get to one of the other pieces later, I've seen it in person, and I've seen a fair few of his works in person, and you get to see the confidence of the painter in the way they lay down paint, because to get this result, you have to get there fast. And so when you ask about whether it's sketched, there probably is an element of sketching, but it's getting to that end result much quicker than you might expect because of that exceptionalism in their skill and their experience, and most of all their confidence that what they're doing with the brush is going to give them the look and the result that they want.
Oh boy.
So this, like, Albert's
This little bit of
Uh,
the edge of the
it's
shadow.
so, man, that's so good. And I think we looked at that leather, like that section.
Blue.
Bruce and I so much,
It's
like the
sickening.
glossy blueness to the black brown leather, and then oh my god.
But even like his leather vest, I just consider the vest itself like even like just
Yeah.
wizardry, the amount of texture that's crammed in there, and how
But also the fact that the light on the the gun handle, the one to the right side, is clearly in the main light, right?
This one.
No. When we look at it, the right-sided one with the golden handle,
this one.
and even though it's in the main light, you still get a blue highlight on it
Yeah.
because of the mahogany finish, right? It's so nuts to me that you have this pale kind of warm light on all of the other things, and the leather and the mahogany has blue light.
It's reflecting the sky, blue sky.
What is going on, man? It's nuts.
Well, then even how like the wood grain catches
Yeah.
a hint
How do you-
hint of the highlight, because it would.
Just wondering how to paint this. Like, wow.
No, yeah.
Yep.
It's-
Yeah,
see,
even
I think you really do. You would need to lay this down just a few strokes and get it just. In order to do this,
well,
you
you
have
would
to do
imagine
that.
so.
Mm.
But then again, what about the leather? Like the leather strap over the chest, like it has so much texture, and it has with interlocking colors and everything. I wish I knew the layers. I wish he had done like that six
Step by step.
snapshots. Yeah, exactly. That everyone does for Instagram. Oh my goodness, I would love to see it because I kind of can't really get into my brain. How do you do the blue first, and then
Blue
the
last texture. It has to be.
well, you would imagine, but that is texture too, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Mm. I mean,
I don't know.
even like this detail which is hidden because like the brass plaque sits on top of this like wooden shield thing, and the paint has chipped
Yeah.
away, and it's
Yep.
just gnarled and old, and it's just hidden.
I love this
It's just-
element. Yeah, that belly plate is just so beautiful.
It's
Yeah, it is.
stunning. It is absolutely stunning.
Cast shadows on the yellow. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. It is really quite good.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These little
I think-
squares here,
Yeah.
It's
the texture in this.
yeah. Albert's piece is, like I say, it's like for me, it's the thing that embodies the hobby the most.
Yeah. It
For
does.
me, this is my favorite piece of the year. It's
This is a masterclass in painting skill.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like ultimate flex. Look what I can
Yeah.
do.
hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm really good at painting. Let me show you.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah,
don't understand.
tons of
I'm really
material.
good at it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, it looks
goodness!
so real.
Right, come on, favorite bits. We got to keep shipping. For me, it is. God, there's so much. It is definitely the belly plate. It is insane. I think the leathers will forever haunt me because whenever I paint leather, I'll be thinking of this for the rest of my life. But the belly plate is just heaven. It's so well done.
I do think it's the leathers, the mahogany, like the material rendering.
Hmm.
It's just nuts.
My favorite bit is the way that it works as you turn it.
Yeah,
It
even
works
though
from every
it's
angle.
Something that I know in one of the feedback sessions you were telling me about, Manus, it's just like understanding that, yeah, you do rotate the model, but you will only see one bit at a time. And as long as each bit works, the piece works.
I think there is something to be said about with your painting. You can kind of force some viewing angles, right? So instead of this one, now we have all the photos were the 10 or however many. We can also like paint a model so that it has 3 or 6
Mm.
or and the fact that just all of these photos are just amazing is insane to me.
Yeah. New ambition in life is always painting mini, so it looks great from
For
every
10
single goddamn angle.
Yeah,
Well, that's why
minimum
it's
10 angles.
it's in the round. A mini is meant to be turned around. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The back is
God.
just as important. Well, no, not just as important, but yeah.
This is the hobby joy piece. Yeah, this is to your point, Dave. I love miniatures. I fucking love miniatures. I love this. It just makes me happy. Right, we shall move on. So we have done with Maxime's. We are taking a brief foray through Albert's, and then we move to Mr. Bohemond, Raph's piece that won gold in Old World at Adepticon this year, which is entirely, obviously, digitally sculpted by him and then painted. Nuts.
Yeah. Well, it was my favorite piece from Adepticon. It is nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mine as well. I think that it probably had a look in as a sword contender, but I think because it was fully digitally sculpted by him, that's probably part of the reason for it. I don't know what their choices are with that, but it was a contender for sure. It's very impressive.
I struggle to conceive a world where GW gives the Slayer sword to a piece that was essentially created by someone else.
Well, they don't because they now have it in open if it is.
Yes.
So they literally don't to not be left in a situation where the best thing is sculpted by someone completely.
Part of the wonderful achievement of this is that it feels like a GW model. Like this could be in their range.
I agree.
No problem.
I agree.
So it achieves that its Warhammer feel perfectly.
It's especially impressive because when you sculpt something, I say you, not me at least, but when you sculpt something either in hand or digitally, you suddenly have infinite availability, right? But that doesn't fly with the competition that it was supposed to go into, right? So he had to make it, so close to IP that it looks like a thing they could have released. And it, of course, set some limitations. And now you have all the freedom, but you kind of put on some kind of restriction. It's insane to get this from that, I think.
Now, I think it's fairly obvious to all of us the risk.
Oh, yeah. I would say so.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Let's just decide to create a winged mounted figure completely ourselves.
Yeah, and also have it go into the category that you aim for.
Yeah, and worry that it might be disqualified. Exactly. Like,
because I talked to Raph a bit, and he was like, "Well, actually, I don't know. They almost wanted to disqualify him the year before, right?
Yeah,
or
with his
move him into to open, and so he wasn't confident in the sense of yes, of course, it will land in the correct category. He didn't quite know.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely a risk, but
that's part of the risk.
Yeah,
it paid off.
It is. Yeah. It did.
To the point where when they did the reveals of the Chaos Dwarves later in the year, I had this so firmly affixed in my mind that I didn't like any of the releases.
Yeah.
Which is...
They have grown on me, but...
No, not me.
I feel the same, Bruce. I do.
Yeah. of the metal version of this does nothing for me, because these like flowing organic shapes, the veins in the wing, like even the choice to put it in like this fiery hell thing where oh god, I just love it. And it was stunning in person, and it was terrifyingly light. That's the one thing I remember this piece, because it's all 3D printed, like the base itself. It's just so light. It doesn't have any of the weight that you expect. So when you pick it up, you're like, oh god, am I gonna accidentally break it? God, it's so good.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
I think
and I mean the color choices, how to like the way that everything is tied together, it is really impressive to me. Um, the blues, the reds, the oranges with the bluey purple light, orangey, and like it basically has three different kinds of light,
three
right?
light sources, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it what it does to me at least is that it kind of harmonizes the colors, so all of them look like they have bits of each other from the different angles. It's very, very clever. I don't know how it came about, but yeah.
And the risk for the subsurface scattering, like the light from behind,
Yeah.
glowing through the wings to
Yeah.
make them like look like this, that's a really difficult thing to paint and make it
Yes.
look good. And I was following him along the way as he painted the project all through, and I know he struggled with that a fair bit, but he should be very proud of the end result, because it really achieved something very impressive.
Yeah, especially because it's I would imagine a fair bit of a balancing act, not overdoing it
Yeah,
either, because
because it could
you
really take
still
attention.
yeah, exactly, and you still wanted to work with um the fact that it still has some of the wing is like fully lit by the back, and some of it is angled in a way where it doesn't um glow as much, so it has more of the yeah, you can see from then the next one's here. You can see it has more of the well, I guess it's natural color, right?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. It's incredibly
And
tricky.
the periphery of the wings are a little bit darker as well than in here, because you don't want to be drawing people's attention right out to
No.
the external point of the wing, but you need to balance that just right so that it doesn't look unpainted as well. So it's a tricky balance to get.
It's almost like I wonder, you followed this one. Um, is it to make sure that you show more of the model, that it's basically lit by three sources? So you have the sides and you have the back, or because it compositionally it's quite a tricky one, right? Because it has outstretched wings, and it's not like just a dude standing with his weapon.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I don't think I know exactly the reasons that he chose to do these three colors. I'm pretty sure he chose the light, like coming from the back, so that he could do the subsurface scattering on the front view. And then in my mind, it makes sense for the cold side to be included, because I don't know whether it's like a foundry burning in the background, or if it's sunset. I think it might be sunset coming up, but I'm not sure exactly. But you need to have that sort of cold side there to set the stage, I think, for the scene. So you've got it's kind of like a cold night, and you've got these warmer lights sort of invading the scene, um, which are part of like the idea of storytelling, I think, for this piece is to give that feeling of the Chaos Dwarves, destruction of nature. Um, they use everything and anything that they can to their most extreme for their selfish purposes. So I think it's to give that idea, like even just a Lammassu hitting the ground is cracking it and causing the lava to show through.
Yeah, with the like little pinpricks of embers. Just super nice in that like piece. Oh, so one of the things that surprised me that we didn't see more of, maybe not too much of a surprise, is how the integration with the plinth breaks the fourth wall of it. Like, it's not that...
I really like that.
Yeah. Like, it's not that it's cut into it, because it's cut into it here. It's like, here it is actually cracking and blowing out parts of the plinth, and like, incredibly hard to do unless you're catting it up, I imagine. Like, this is not the kind of thing that you can easily do with a tarot plinth.
No.
Yeah, because you need to be able to know where all of the little bits of rock will connect onto each other, but also have enough a sufficient connection to print and not break. And so that's very carefully planned out stuff. And I mean, you've got the same things as the others. I feel like this one, I haven't seen it fully in the round like you guys have in person, but I feel like this one doesn't have any bad angles as well.
No, it didn't. No. And that's why I was asking about the different lights, is because it's almost like this has three sides. It's almost like a slight kind of a triangle, right? Because you have the back where the wings are kind of outstretched. Then you have the two sides on the sides of the wings, right? So if you see the one side and the other side, now you basically have all the model lit in one way or the other. So now you kind of you paint it in a way so it doesn't really have bad angles.
Yeah, so you've got a really sort of a lucky element, or the wings are in separation. So because
Yes.
you can't really the way the wings are shaped, you can't really look along like the wing.
No, the
to
curve
see
of
it.
it. No.
Yeah, because it's curved. So you get no matter how you look at it, the wings are separating you from seeing into that next angle. So it's a really smart way to define the different sections, and you can use that to your advantage with wings. But painting wings is a real pain because you've got to paint them 4 times.
Oh yes. Oh, but it's just to say that this model is, of course, like scratch sculpted.
Yeah.
But by Raph, right? So it's a choice that he made. He could have positioned the wings differently, right?
Yep.
They could have been one up and one a little bit down, or what, like
tucked in.
Yeah, or one a little bit tucked in, or whatnot. So, like, coming to the conclusion that this is the way it looks best, and so on. This is the way it works with the different lights, and yeah, I wonder how much of the painting was kind of like planned out, or like at least in idea before.
Yeah, I believe that the idea
it.
that the painting was in idea while he was still sculpting it. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah.
Even just the way he basically created a Lammassu with full anatomy, like the skeleton, all the muscles, and then layered the skin on, and then posed it into position. It's genuinely like a properly anatomically correct creature, almost. Like, wings like that aren't ever going to grow into a position because they don't actually really work like that. But, it's still really bloody interesting to see the way all the muscles interact and connect together. And this is one of...
It's a way to say true.
It's just so impressive that he did this from scratch. Like,
I agree.
I don't know whether he'll do this level of craziness again. Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
There you go.
Yep.
I mean, so there's something I find like really exciting with Raph and what Raph represents, because this to me is the new wave. This to me is like part of an era we are entering where people can sculpt and print their own stuff. Here is it with a bit more musculature. They can sculpt and print their own stuff. Like, Raph obviously knows like ZBrush and the 3D environments well. So like, I imagine, like, in terms of the conversation we're having about like lighting, this is a digital space where he could have played with all of that lighting over and over and over again, like generating like the lighting references, the lighting maps he wants, and then using his own artistic interpretation. But there is something just so exciting to me of like, yeah, this is someone operating not in that traditional space, but in a modern digital space who can
using
still
technology to its advantage.
yes, yeah, who can still create incredible traditional artistic pieces, but with this workflow that is entirely digital. And God, that's just so exciting to me, because I think that speaks to the place where my brain goes happy. Who doesn't, I like Milliput. Milliput's great. Digital stuff is more exciting to me, and seeing it done to this level is really cool to me.
Yeah, which makes it even more sad that it can only go into open going forth, right?
Yeah. Only because GW hate fun.
Yeah. Well, they just don't want to promote other sculptors, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it is. Shall we say entirely understandable reasons why stuff like this goes
but
into
it's still
open.
sad, like
Yeah,
because as Dave said, I don't think probably he will go to these lengths, at least not for a Games Workshop model, right?
Yeah.
And having the passion for a game or a
An IP.
like a world or whatever or an idea is to create something like this is just probably not feasible if you know that you also can't win the highest accolade for it. So
yeah. This is not the work of someone who doesn't adore Warhammer.
no. no.
God. Right. Any highlights? I think I mentioned mine, which is like this integration with the plinth. I actually just love the base on this. I think it is similar to what we saw with Maxime's, where it's not it's slightly understated, but it's still, when you take the time to look at it, you see all that detail and the bravery of just like, yeah, it's going to be smashing the plinth apart, because there's so much power in this creature that it can't be contained within its world. Is just so cool to me. I just think it's such a cool little way to stamp down like what this piece is.
It suits my taste in presentation of stuff as well. Like, it's not covered in chaos. There's no dirt or dust added. It's just what it is. And, the rocks are breaking. The dust particles at scale are too small to be represented, so they're sort of not something that appeals to my taste personally.
Oh, there's almost something beautiful about not having like any tufts or any like sand or whatever of those things, that it's like all of it is in this sculpted realm. I think my favorite is still that the like keeping the focal point on the head of that Lammassu, and while balancing the three light sources is just
I actually think that these photos aren't the greatest of it as well. Like, I've heard it looks much better in person, and the
yes, it
GW
does.
website photos were probably better than these two, so it's pretty impressive. But my favorite part is just basically the ambition and the implementation and final result based on that ambition. It's not something that a lot of people have the confidence or ambition or will to do. Like, this is an investment of your soul. And so my favorite part of this is the fact that, he was willing to and did do that.
Yeah, and dared it too, right? Without
Exactly.
asking anyone, can it go into this category or will it be able to blah, blah, blah. All of those things, it's just none of that. He made the thing, slaved for a year or however long, and then he brought it and,
Mad
bet
respect.
everything, bet everything on black.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I like kind of the big dick energy of, yeah, I'm going to put this in the cabinets, and it's all everyone's going to be talking about in the cabinets. And the question is not, will it win? The question is, will they let it? Will they let it win? Right. We shall zoom along to our fourth piece, which is by Mr. Kirill Kanaev. Fucking hell. God damn it.
This is the one you saw in
Now, I've seen this one in person, yeah. I've been lucky enough to see it in person. It's that friend of mine, Alan Young's collection. He's lucky to have it, I think. So I don't know whether this one has as high level of risk as potentially others, but there is still the cast shadow and that general simple choices to go with everything. I think that and then just, paint everything and it looks almost real.
Yeah, this falls in the Maxime kind of territory, right? In terms of risk taking.
So I'm always struck by whenever like Albert's impressed by someone, because he's pretty good, it turns out. So when he's like, yeah, Kirill renders materials like nobody else, you internalize that, and then you see a piece like this, and like this plate on the crossbow, she's like, yeah, clearly metal, but also clearly weathered,
simple,
beaten. Yeah, it's like it's managing both simplicity and weathering, and like achieving a high degree of metal weathering without resorting to loads of rust. And just like, yeah, this is probably a piece of the crossbow that's used a lot. It's not going to be too rusty, so it's just going to be beaten. I'm going to paint it that way. It's just like so cunning, and these little pock marks in the wood and the half, just like, okay, so first thing I'm going to do is paint this beautiful wood of like texture and coloring, and then I'm going to just pockmark it up, and it's going to look so real because of that.
Yeah.
Well, and also like when you look at it and the first thing you think is, okay, that's nice. It looks good. And then you go into it and it's like, it just becomes better and better and better because you realize, look at the dirt in that coat. Oh my God.
Yeah, the dirt in the coat. And the thing that stood out to me in the photos and in person is the transition from the creamy white color to the coldy greeny blue tones from the back. Like, man, this section here on the shield, and then up here, the transitions there are just wild, and it looks so perfect.
Yeah, even a little bit of blue in the, a fair bit of blue in the crossbow, right? Yeah.
Bit of the crossbow, yeah.
Yeah, because you see from the and there too, but from the very like the main angle, you see where the main light is, and then an immediate cutoff, and then you see the other angle, which has a little bit of that kind of bluey tones to the wood.
And the colors they look so readable. So from this back angle to the right a bit, up top right, sorry Bruce. From this angle, it all looks perfect in it, and it feels like it's a warm but cold scene, maybe a cold day with the sunrise, but everything feels white and cream. And then if you scroll down, Bruce, to the next image, which is the opposite side, it still feels perfectly the same, but it's the total different spectrum. These transitions along here and here.
Yeah.
And then this shield as well, with like all those little tiny cracks in it, and the wearing marks on the edge and stuff.
Yeah, and the way that it looks random, but it isn't, because someone put it there, right? It's not random.
Yeah. It's very, very deliberate. It's all very deliberate.
But it doesn't look.
It looks like it's just gone and just scratch line here, scratch line there. but it's all, and it still looks painted as well though. Like the confidence he has in his brushwork and brush strokes and stuff just to get this effect. We haven't even talked about the best part yet, which is the cast shadow on the face.
Yeah.
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 Like in person, I couldn't believe, I almost can't believe my eyes looking at this, because it's like, how is this possible? As you move it around, like a cast shadow almost feels like it's moving with you.
Wow.
You know how sometimes when you have a cast shadow, it just sits there and you move it and the illusion breaks a little bit. But as you move in this one and then try to find the place where the illusion breaks, I couldn't find it. I don't know how he did it. I think it's partly because of this like bright red bit on his cheek here. And in sections there, like it's into the shadow, it's the subsurface scattering going into it. I don't know exactly what it is, but god damn, it's just impressive.
It was like as I
color work is insane.
You go on, sorry, Miles.
No, I was just saying the color work is insane. Also, look at the colors in the leather strap over the shoulder.
The blues into
yeah, and yellows and whites and
reflected gold. Yeah.
What the heck? How?
Something that I find Kirill is very impressive with is his restraint. So if you look at the beard, it looks almost barely painted, and when you see it, it's just a few lines. Like he just puts a few lines in the right place. And how do you have the confidence to just put a few brush strokes, just pop, 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 and it's done? And I swear I reckon he painted that hair in less than a couple of hours.
Just do it perfect, easy.
Yeah, that's what he does. You can see it in the way that he applies the paint. It's just he doesn't redo anything. It's just right as he does it. Just comes off the brush, done.
Well,
and that's the way he paints.
Much easier than I reckon. Not having to struggle over and over.
Yeah, don't struggle. Just paint it right first time.
It's just experience and skill and confidence, and you can't do that without years and years and years. I just don't see anyone who's getting new into it being able to do that without the experience. It's an experience building kind of thing. You have to know what you're doing in order to do it.
Wonder if some of it is also like the artistic mind for it, kind of like the color work and the knowing that, okay, so I need to put a lot of hue and so on in the face, but I don't have to do too much with the beard because it's a very different material and you will read it right away. I need to put so much in the wood, but I'll stop there because I have I want to do a cast shadow because I have other cast shadows, so I need to, it must, I don't know, having like a clear visual in your head as you do it, because I don't know how you find this without that.
No. He just
he just gets it.
It would take so much trial and error, right? To get let's say you had no affinity for it at all. And then okay, I want to do busts. Then 1,000 busts later and you wouldn't get to this, right?
Yeah. It's for sure.
I'm so struck by the fact that you have such a strong and obvious cast shadow on the face, but if you look at the values, it's not radically
that much
different.
It's just color changes. That's the way to do cast shadows.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, right? With the way that the face, you can clearly see all the features, but a lot of it is midtone. Almost all of it is midtone when you look at the black and white, right?
Yeah.
So that means almost all the features are because of a bit of hue change.
Oh, sorry, Dale.
That's all right.
I rescaled on you.
Yep.
But then also, like, the cast shadow on the neck obviously goes into full shadow. It's like this implied very high bounce light into, like, the face just to give those features a pop. And the horizontal, I mean, such a little thing, and something I want to do more is like how the light in the eyes is a horizontal line, it's not a dot.
Yep.
And just what that does to imply more of a landscape that he's looking at.
It's the sunrise coming up above the horizon.
Yeah, just.
I didn't even notice. That's smart.
And this is another model that has no bad angles again. Like, you know, you've got your Terminator meeting points, the position of where to put the lights in every circumstance works just right as you turn it. That you can't find any bits that don't just look fabulous no matter where you look.
Yeah. I also like really love how like if you contrast these two, just that angle change goes from like hopeful protector to sinister villain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the choosing of the golden angle, like you can just like this is. I mean, this echoes the points that you've been making. Yes, exactly.
Like I like this angle the best myself.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I agree.
But like, it comes to like, I'm like, why we're doing this is like because these are miniatures. This is our hobby, and the fact that it is, as what Dave keeps repeating, it's a 3D canvas. It is. It is not this singular piece in this moment in time. It's way more complicated than that. Goodness, I just love it. I want to know if he used chipping medium on this, because if this is all brushwork, God damn it.
All the dirt in that coat, man.
I think the dirt coat must be just an old splayed brush, and he's just going glug, 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 glug.
Yeah, and then cleaning it up afterwards. It must be.
It must be.
Well, we know Kirill's secret is using those AK paint pens, so clearly he uses all the tech.
It's kind of wild, this one, where when it's kind of turned around from photo to photo to photo, you kind of don't see any Terminator lines at all. It just transitions smoothly, fully through. And it's clearly different lights. It's wild. You see a little bit of the when you have the cast shadows and whatnot on down there. You see a little bit, but that's a horizontal one, right? There are no like vertical ones, and like really, well, there are, but they're so subtle that you also see one on the this one you can also see it from the other angle, of course. And then the opposite side you can see it, but it's like they're so subtle that they don't really show as a Terminator line, which is quite rare, because oftentimes you will see, because we go so high contrast, right? So you go from a really dark to a really bright on a lot of the smaller pieces. With this one, you just don't really, you almost don't see it.
And look at the orange in the shield. Like, that's pretty much just a flat squares of orange, and choosing the right color, because this was in the cold section. It's actually more of a greeny orange, but because of the relation to everything else around it, the saturation bumps up.
It's like very
everything
intentional.
is just so intentionally picked. Yeah. Like,
you see that even with like the hard cast shadows, because you can only ever see the hard cast shadows when you can see them all. So like you see it on the bow here because you can see it on the face. You see like the little fingerprint because you can see it on the face. And the other angles, you don't really see it. Oops.
Until it just looks natural.
Yeah. And then you get back to this one, you can see it. Like just the intentionality.
Like the small one underneath the black part of the of where the cloak is draped over from the front view, and just a small one, because, well, you need it there, right?
No. I think the sculpt is also helping in this case, because it's, well, it takes a lot of vision to actually see the to see this end result from this sculpt, because you could just go, regular basic lighting and not do the sunrise or sunset with the shadows and stuff in there. But it's got all of these little elements and details in just the right places to be used. But to have the vision and understanding of what's going to make the bust and to see them with it when you haven't done any of the painting, and then to just jump in, paint it, get it right the first time like he has, it's pretty insane to think about when you try and break it down like that.
Yeah, especially because it's not a given. He put the light source, right?
Exactly.
It's not like no one dictated, okay, and this is where, well, I'm guessing not, at least. It's quite insane, because all the cast shadows, of course, would have been different if, so I'm guessing that the first choice was to get that right, and then everything else is informed by it, I'm guessing. But yeah, I don't know.
See as well, like an echo. I don't know why I drew the circle around. Not the thing when I meant to put it here, but like, hey, medals are on the outskirts of the model. They're not going to be done to the same level.
No.
They're going to be duller, because that's going to draw the focal point where I need it. There's a bit more detail on these medals, but then the most kind of reflections are kept for the ones closest to the center of the model.
And if you go to the bottom right picture as well, which is in the same vein as what you're thinking, you've got this section here, and if you look very, very carefully at the white compared to this down here, there is a temperature drop off. So right down here, it's actually starting to get a little bit greeny blue, and there's a lot more yellow up here. And all of those things add up across the entire model, like what Bruce was saying, that the little bits of metal being left behind, and then you've got the temperatures way more orange up here, and then it's going way more green over here. So all the periphery in just very subtle ways are dropping in temperature, and using those controls is very, very powerful.
It really is. Oh man, I would have loved to see this one in hand.
Yeah, it's a mind-blowing one.
Just have to
still can't get over
to Australia.
Yeah, that just that cast shadow on the face, and just
it's glorious.
Doesn't break when you move it. It blows my mind.
Kirill, pretty good painter, it turns out.
Yep.
Yep.
Right, let's close this piece off and we move to our final piece. In terms of favorite bits, I've already mentioned it, but I just think the reflection in the eye, how it supports the lighting and just draws that extra interest, and also gives an almost hopeful look on this main view. I love it. It's brilliant.
I think it's the colors in the white for me. It just has all kinds of different hues, and it looks so natural.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as you on that. I think that's the one for me as well. The white, the execution of the white. And there's actually basically no white paint been used.
Yeah, there is no
model.
white. No. It's just yellows and creams and a little bit bluey grays and greeny grays, and but we all clearly see it as a dirty
It
white.
reads as white, yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, if you're like, hey, mix this on the palette, I'd be like, nah, you're all right.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And what is the value of it even? What?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
What number? If you've got 10 is white, 0 is black. I don't know. It probably goes up to 3.
Is it
7.
Is it white right in the where the gleam is on the handle on?
That is
the bow.
I don't think so.
I'm color picking it. It's less bright.
Well, but you can't, because
the photo is
the way
different.
a photo. Yeah,
it exaggerates in the photo closer to white.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's a more blue, but I think I remember thinking when we were looking at the model in person that there wasn't any white used on the whole thing. Maybe in the chainmail, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
But even then, I'm not
yeah.
sure.
Right.
Impressive.
The last piece, gentlemen, we're nearly done with our whirlwind tour of just some goddamn good minis. So
we could spend a while on this one.
Yeah, Sundermal, absolutely any of them. So quick recap: we've had Albert's piece, Maxime's piece, this piece from Kirill, Raf's piece, and now we move to our final piece, which is Erkka's stunning silver knives. Yeah, fucking right.
Lionel Johnson and Luther.
Yeah.
See, I obviously did my lexiconum reading after that podcast record. Is this the time for your composition circles?
No, I just brought that in just in case we wanted to use about it. But you can say that on Erkka's Instagram page if you want to do it, because this has got this is formulated by the golden ratio.
Yes, that's the one. I'll pull it. But I mean, so it's in many ways this is kind of like the runner up to the slow sword in my eyes, even though it wasn't in the running because it took silver, which I think shows the murderous category that was AOS Signal, but it's compositionally a feast for the eyes and works across the board and just oozes atmosphere. I wish it's the kind of it's just like one impression of this model that I could bottle and sell to people. It's seeing it from across the goddamn hall at Golden Demon and still feeling the atmosphere, even when it was a dot on the top cabinet.
That's a silhouette.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I think so. This one probably has more, for me, immediate impact than the Albert one had, because of the silhouette and, like, I don't know if it's the color choices or, well, it is also a fair bit bigger, right? Like, all of it together. So when you saw it in the cabinet, this one had immediate impact on, I would say, probably everyone, over all the other pieces. And it's quite a clever thing, because if that isn't giving you an edge, I don't know what is, right?
All in the sauna.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, like, you can, of course, bring a perfectly painted grotto or whatever and win best of that category. But, it's just probably having a little bit of a harder time. That's something where you put, like, all kinds of colors and impressive composition, and, well, the craftsmanship is there too. It's not in the same league as Albert's, but it's definitely there, right?
Very, very close.
Is that golden even just on the planning stage, yeah. And then to see that character force and how that essentially informs the arc of the tree.
A very smart way to do it. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think the only thing for this one where it maybe doesn't stand up, part of the reason why it doesn't stand up to Albert's is, like, if we look at just move down a little bit, Bruce, and we can look at some of those bad angles. So I'm not sure about whether these work as well, and that might be part of what holds it back from being on the same level as Albert. And that's harsh because they're not bad angles, right? These are just the worst angles on this particular implementation of the figure, and it's still remarkable that they look so incredibly good despite the composition being moved out of the golden ratio once you turn it. It still works remarkably well. It's still very impressive for that fact.
I mean, this is definitely also a piece that clearly has a front and a back, right?
Yep.
Yes. Where well, the the way that a horse would be, you don't look from the front of a horse with the rider positioned the way that it is and so on. So this one is much more of a 2D canvas kind of style, because this is really awkward for me actually. I think that angle just before the golden ratio, that one is more awkward than the back view,
Yeah, you're
at least for
probably
me,
right. Yeah.
because of you don't get good separation on anything, and but it's also like that's not the way that it is intended either, right? So even just painting the figure without any of the scene or anything, that would be awkward too, right?
Mm. Yeah, it goes from beautifully distinct components where everything can be clearly seen to is blurring into one.
Yeah.
Which
So this one has more of a back and a front. I think I love the detail that is wow, the tree kind of hugging the plinth, which means the pour must have been done and then sculpted
they would have
outside, right?
It must have been at least this root on the front.
Yeah,
right. Otherwise, you
must have been
can't
done
pour.
afterwards.
Yeah, there's let me.
I mean, if I was making this plinth myself, I'd make this tiny section, paint it, and do the pour, and then add everything else later, so that you could redo it if you needed to without having to cut it all apart. I mean, you have the parts ready to go into place, and then you can just glue them on afterwards. I don't know though how he would have done
it. If you go, I'm gonna zoom us.
Yeah,
you see that.
Wow,
he
done way more.
Oh,
yeah.
Whew, confidence.
Yeah. This part is just cut away so that it all can be done and then sculpted in.
Crazy, man.
Which, makes
if that butches, if it turns gooey like yours did, Bruce.
You just need to get experience. You get everyone doing resin pours is going to have those experiences where stuff goes bad. Yeah, it's just I don't know anyone who hasn't.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. Let me see if I can grab this one image. Is it this one? Nope. It's the one where the pour's done. Here we are. Go this one. Paste it in. Make it big. Yeah, so like the resin pour's all done, and then the rest of the sculpting can happen. So this is very low resolution, but yeah, you see that, and that's like also part of what I find like really impressive about this is like the structure of like how it is built. So okay, here is Erkka playing around with the composition. Like here are the initial formation stages, and then like he sculpts the tree around the curve, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm having this big resin pour, so actually so much of this needs to be done, but then I want these like roots hugging it. Like then if one, I don't know, what if you get to this stage and you're like, actually, I don't like his face.
Yeah, it's too bright or grabbing too much attention, or like now you have to balance everything against that. Whoa.
Yeah, you've got to estimate where things are going to need to be later, and obviously you can paint stuff on the model to help against that. And I love the way he's chosen to do this like bright green sort of down under the water section. It really does a great job in segmenting that from the rest of the warmth of the scene, because it's kind of like the colder green area. It's smart.
Yeah, and it also gives the impression of water as a colder thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I do absolutely think it works.
Something that I've thought about, like while looking at this model, and it actually it means nothing to me. So don't think that I'm critiquing this scene because of this. But this horse and the rider, he can't fit under this tree with these stairs down, Bruce.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
So the horse can't fit into this tree and walk down the stairs like this unless he's like lying flat against a horse and ducking under there, right? So it doesn't matter though, because this instant is all that matters. So the before and the after, they have no meaning for the composition of a mini. We're capturing the moment of perfection to present the character, and so in the way that the presentation works, it works perfectly. So thinking about things like that is a very, very difficult thing for me to break my mind from. But it's an important skill to learn of where to break reality and not. And that's a learned skill, I think. I don't think you can know how to do that right away without getting experience and figuring it out. And, I don't think most people would even have noticed that until I pointed it out.
For
right?
sure.
So, and it doesn't matter.
No,
it is not important. But you need to be able to think. You need to be able to think about things and understand where and how to break reality. And Albert has got it as well with the table pushed up to the stair, and also breaking the third wall on the fourth wall on the bottom of the
cabinet.
The cabinet breaking the edge. Yeah.
And that's like. And because there's always a cost. I think that's so important to like remember, because like to your point, Dave, like, okay, well, let's say that this didn't exist. Suddenly you've got this like big blank area that really affects the feel of the piece.
Negative
you lose
space,
this crow. And then it's like, it's one of those things that I think, I kind of also relate it to like, when you see people submit stuff like open feedback and everyone be like, well, have you considered X, Y, and Z? It's like, there are fine ideas to have, but also what's the cost of the impact? Like, to your point, like, yeah, you couldn't physically have this scene exist, but is the cost worth it for the impact that those decisions lead to? And you can then weigh up those choices far better, I feel. This water pour annoys me. It's so perfect. I keep thinking that this is the line, but it's not. It's here, which is invisible, because this is the tide mark. Like, what the fuck? Erkka loves his resin pours. Slow curing. That's the secret.
I also think this is a really bold one, because remember, this is put into single. Look how big it is. Look how much ambience, how much story, how much emotion there is in this one, right? And it's a piece put into single. I mean,
and it fits the category to me. It fits the category perfectly.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying, you could definitely have it moved to open, for example,
or diorama,
or diorama for that matter. Yeah.
I find the decision to go with purple super interesting to me. This? I'm not a lore
colors
person.
Are super good.
Yeah, is this a known thing? These purples, because like it is such this dark, moody scene, and the purple really cuts into that in a nice way for me. And I'm wondering if that's like an intentional thing, or
I don't know if it's the purple that are the given color, but if so, well, you can paint the trees, and like there's basically no brown in that tree.
Yes. I think that purpley magenta, I don't have a color wheel in front of me, but that from the top of my head, it's the opposite to that sort of yellowy green tone that the scene has as an ambience.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. But I'm wondering if it's the purple that is the given color, and he then chose to have no real brown in his tree. He has like the yellowy brown and
green
ochres, the greens, the teals, even the colors of the tree kind of bridge to the yellow golden materials, right? So you have like the whole one side of the color wheel, and then, well, I say the whole, but blues and
you've got
greens,
that big
and
complementary, and that's only in that purple bit, and it works well.
Yes, yeah, it does. It's amazingly pleasing to look at.
And the same thing that Albert has done with a lot of his medals as well. Like on the horse down here, this is quite simply rendered in terms of like secondary volumes and highlights, especially on the head of the horse, but they're peripheral elements, then they're not as important. So you got to choose to do them to a lesser degree. And then you've got, even just a little bit of green reflecting into there just for subtlety and nuance and technical nous. It's
yeah, and you just compare that to that in terms of the rendering, just
exactly.
in terms of like proximity.
And it's just like, it's kind of a shame that this got put up against Albert's one, because I wonder how Erkka feels about it, because like it's seriously like just maybe a few % behind. If that, like it's really not. It's like you have to make a decision between the two, and so Albert's is just a tiny little bit better, but it's only a very tiny bit.
Yeah, and I think the rendering is better, and I think that the craftsmanship is better, but this one is just so pleasing in
Compositionally.
Yeah, it's and the moodiness of it is impeccable.
Yeah, and it sells in other ways.
It depends on. Yeah. So it depends on what you wanna award, I guess. And also, I think like the impressiveness of like Albert's piece, where, as we've talked about with a lot of these, where when you like turn it and turn it and turn it and turn it, and it's just as alive when you turned it another 30 degrees. It's just nuts. It's such a hard thing to accomplish.
It's like, I think these will kind of, shall we say, like the bronze and silver of the entire Essen, which like is maybe the brutality of Golden Demon. It's like, people be talking about all the golds and
bronze and silver.
Sorry, gold and silver.
Gold, yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think so.
It's just like two stunning pieces. But yeah, the brutality of Golden Demon, because everyone looks at the golds. The golds are the ones that are eligible for the Slave Sword. But it's like, actually, if you took the two best pieces, I think many people would probably have these two as the standouts.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that Golden Demon wasn't full of incredible pieces.
No, it was.
Has he done a cold back? I can't really tell. Did it have a cold rear? Was the rear of Erkka's one painted cold as well? Like the front is warm, I think, but is the back cold? In the photos, it looks a little bit, but it might just be the photo.
I think it's
slightly.
I think it is, because it's almost like
bit more
you can see the yellow light from the front, right?
Yeah.
On the tree and whatnot.
Yeah.
The tree is still still got quite yellows, and the photo is causing IRL darkness.
Oh, sorry, Dave. I keep doing that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's very, very subtle.
No, it looks colder, right?
A little bit. I can't tell for sure, though.
Oh, yeah, I only really see it in the underside of the horse if there's like particular coldness.
Maybe the highlights in the cloak go to a little bit more blue than the front, but yeah, maybe just a little bit. Wish I had a higher res photo. But there's more blue.
We can ask.
We can ask it, yeah. So there's temperature like here and here. This is warmer than over here.
Yeah.
So he's definitely using temperature drop-offs, and so.
Yeah. Yes.
Just need to find out which of the bits that he painted in the hotel the night before.
God, I really don't like doing that. Like, I want to have time to sit there for a couple of weeks and just, move this little bit, change a little bit there, and just really inspect something to make sure it's finished personally. But I mean, you've got to get it done if you've worked so hard. It'd be hard to hold it for the next year.
Yeah, I think so too. But then again, like, are you then annoyed that you you got beat by Albert, that if you had like a month more of working time, could you have beat him? Or was it just
Inevitable.
impossible to... Yeah, exactly.
I think what we need is more rivalries in miniature painting. People pushing each other. This is like
I
Albert
can't wait
Maxime.
to see what's up, because I've been really like researching Golden Demon. I've made a PureRef document that's got all of the Golden Demon entries in one, and been looking over, and you can really see the level just jumping up over the last 3 years. Like, it's crazy how far miniature painters around the world have come in just a few years. It's really wild.
COVID seemed to have like been this like genesis of what is essentially a new era, and it's just insane the quality that people are achieving, and like hugely inspirational.
And I think also it's a matter of like a few really like amazing painters have kind of like what is it called, trailblazed, like they led the path of a lot of others who then saw what was possible to want to follow that, right? Because the Alberts and the Maximes and whatnot who did amazing pieces, and then you see someone like Dave or me, or well, I guess yourself, seeing, okay, these things are possible if you keep at it and are willing to learn from piece to piece and so on. And now we have like Erkka, who comes from one piece to a better piece to a better piece to a bit like more and more impressive, right? Every time.
Yeah.
And it's like not resting because you still see, okay, but I still got beat by Albert, for example, or whoever, beat you or whatever.
Whatever motivates you to improve for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Favorite bits. Come on, gents.
I think it's the Easter eggs on this one, like all the small details and like, yeah, just the face, like it's almost like the tree has a little bit of a skull in it, with the two holes,
the face
in the water, the tentacles, the way that everything is, like so many small things to look at that kind of all bleed into this sinister tale.
And it feels very
really
Warhammer.
Enjoy that.
Yes.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think it's the silhouette for me. It's the thing that I just, just striking. It's so good.
It's hard to deny, huh?
Yeah, it's just like
the ratio just works, huh?
Yeah, just getting punched in the face by a mini. Thinking, yeah, that's pretty good. This guy can build a scene. It's like cinematic framing almost. It's just so cool to me.
Yeah, it is.
It is very good composition.
As a 2D painting, it would work.
Yeah. Right? For me, it's the colors. My favorite part is the colors. I don't know why exactly, but just the way they all interact and the strange choices, but then it still really works. Like purple, yellow, and green is not a combo that you find very often.
Yeah. Oh. Right. That's 2025 in minis then. Pretty good year, wasn't
it? What a cast. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
God, I'm so inspired.
I hope everyone's been enjoying it, because I think we've rather enjoyed this discussion. You could probably tell.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
These are like, I think we do benefit from the fact that it is, because it's quite a small hobby, there's this very powerful flattening effect. And it's the fact that, the people essentially blazing a trail, or just people you meet at events, talk to. You can go ask Raph like questions about his piece. I'm sure Maxime, Albert, like Erkka.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, the only person that's hard to get in contact with for other reasons is Kirill, but swings around.
Sure.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts on the year as we head into 2026? I think it just feels like there's a new kick up the backside for a lot of painters at the moment, and it's quite exciting to think about what we could be seeing next year.
I can't wait to see what happens next. I get so much enjoyment out of just looking at other people's minis, so doing this today has been magnificent, so I look forward to doing it again next year already.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope we see something that is even better than this.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, that's
It would be
okay.
insane. Well,
That is exciting.
We'll just make Albert do his next piece in the series and take the 5th gold, huh?
That's mission next. Yeah, if you need 5th AOS single gold to really cement your legacy, maybe another Slayer sword. We'll see how you get on. God, what a hobby! It's pretty good. This.
Yeah.
Should we do this for another year? Yeah, why not? And then we'll decide if we want to keep doing it. If we want to keep painting, we'll pack it.
Yeah, we can do the 26 review and see if it's still worth.
Yeah,
I'm committed for the rest of my life, I think.
No. If it falls, we all become scale modelers.
Yeah, Dave is looking at the projects in the cabinet and he's like, nope, in it for life.
Right, then I shall close off. I think obviously big thanks to all of the artists who either gave images and shared their work and who just painted these or constructed and painted these marvelous pieces. And yeah, this is going to be the last thing we put out in 2025. So thank you very much for sticking with us for 2025. I think we found a really cool groove to hit at the end of the year. And obviously we look forward to more of these things with Dave, Magnus, myself, as we go into kind of talking about the next things in the hobby and helping people improve and push forward their art, because I think there is something that I find particularly motivating about this hobby that, yeah, there's a high chance that someone out there listening who's like maybe relatively new into the hobby is going to be someone that we're talking about either next year or in a few years of producing these pieces and having their name enshrined in these like great halls. So it is, yeah, it's awesome. Thank you very much for watching this and staying with us. Thank you very much to Magnus. It's what midnight were you on, Magnus?
Yeah.
Later on, we give David the morning shift this time, as you were well overdue on, which is fair. But that is it, everyone. We will see you in the new year. Until next time, go and paint something beautiful, but also have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So long.